Welcome, cycling fans. I hope you're enjoying all the amazing guests that I've been bringing you on the podcast to date. And before we get started, I want to share with you an amazing way that you can coach with me this winter. So if you've been liking all my coaching segments, you're going to love this program. So it's my 16-week online winter road cycling training program. Say that 10 times fast. So I've been doing this program for over 15 years. It's been usually local, but now it's online, which is even more amazing because I can impact more cyclists this way than in studio. The way it works is you're going to learn valuable cycling skills, such as, have you ever asked yourself, first of all, how can I become a create a more smooth pedal stroke? Like, what are the 4 quadrants all these people have been talking about? And how can I get stronger on the hills? So here's the thing. It really comes down to the fundamentals and the basics skills of cycling, which when you get on your bike, you know nothing about. Now this is that, and that's what I'm going to drill into you over 16 weeks. So when you finish, you are going to know how to create a smooth pedal stroke and be more efficient. You're going to be climbing hills with much better technique. You're going to be building your sprint base, and your endurance base is going to be much stronger. Now, I have a special code for you. It's podcast in all uppercase to get $50 off either the VIP or the basic program. Now, go to this website to check out what the differences are. Basically, the VIP is a much greater coaching program. So if you want more personalized coaching, goal setting, and we have a reported 5 to 20% increase in fitness. Can you imagine starting your spring with that kind of increase based on last year? So it's 16wkroadcycling.ca. So that's 16wkroadcycling.ca and use the code podcast to get $50 off. And if you have questions, just email me. I'd love to answer them. And I hope and look forward to coaching you to become better on the bike. I hope you enjoy the next episode. Have an amazing day. All right, cycling fam, I am so freaking excited about this month. Not only is it my most favorite month of the whole year because of the colors, because it's my rest and recovery month from cycling. It's my wedding anniversary, and I just love the colors. They make me crazy. Orange, yellow, reds, and also Halloween. I love Halloween. So before we get into this one, we have some amazing shout outs coming up. And I just want to tell you that I have added a new free download for all of you. So this is kind of attached to a webinar that I decided to put together. It's a totally free webinar. It's how to plan your winter training so you have a kick-ass 2022 season. So what you need to do is go and get the free download, which is basically a template, a training plan template for you to go in and start thinking about what you're going to do and how you're going to plan and structure your training. And you go and find that at askcoachsylvie.com or .ca. And so attached, after you download that, you will get an email inviting you to the free webinar that will take that template and help you fill it out and help you structure your winter training so that you don't overdo it or don't underdo it. But what we're going to be getting into today is going to be kind of outlining some of that stuff. This is a 4-part series. So every Friday, you're going to get a little snippet of how to get your training, put your training plan together. And each one of them is going to be talking about getting to this webinar. So go get that free download. Start thinking about how you're going to putting it together with Swift, with outside, with strength training, with your nutrition. It all goes hand in hand, and the webinar will help you put it all together. So with that, have an amazing day, and we have some shout outs coming up. Shout out to the top 4 countries. So the US is just killing it. I mean, this week alone, we've had 2,000 downloads. Thank you so much to our listeners there. And I'm like, Canada, what's going on? Like, I'm a Canadian. You guys should be listening more. And then we got the UK and Germany. Thank you guys. Woo. So like I said, we have had up to now 63,000 downloads. And the goal is to get to 100,000 downloads by the end of the year. So please share and also follow me on Instagram. So Sylvie D'Aoust _cyclist, and follow the podcast. So Secrets from the Saddle podcast. You can follow there, and all the episodes that are uploaded, they end up there. So you can go back and check on and re-listen and share. And please, when you share, tag me and tag the podcast. So I'd love to see more shares on Instagram as you guys are listening, your takeaways. Love to hear that. So here's a couple countries. I just looking at the analytics and countries that we are in. So I said Ireland, Germany, Netherlands, Mexico, Australia, Norway, Spain, Sweden, New Zealand, Denmark, Finland, France, Colombia, Switzerland, Malaysia, Belgium, Hungary, Italy, Hong Kong, India, Greece, United Arab Emirates. What? But you got a bunch of you guys are listening. Philippines, Korea, Israel, just to name a few. Thank you so much for being regular listeners of the podcast. So let's get into, before I said January, I have just decided that I'm going to be searching for event organizers. So if you're like me, you're looking for events to put on your race calendar for 2022, I'm going to start searching out those event organizers to bring them to the podcast for January. So make sure you're listening. And if you're in one of those countries and you know of somebody who has to be speak English, who would love to be on to basically talk about their event in their country, please connect with me on Instagram. Okay. So that's what's going to happen in January. All right. So this month, we're going to be talking about planning our year of training. So this is so important. I cannot even tell you. It's great to sit there and go, I just started cycling, or I just started triathlons, or I just started mountain biking. And what I'm going to do is just get a trainer and sit on Swift all winter long. Okay. That's not good enough. Okay. That's good enough to maybe overtrain yourself or undertrain yourself if you don't have a plan and you're not working with someone or within a program to help you facilitate and become better in the skills that you need on the bike. And let me just reframe that. The skills you need on the bike, because that is probably the number one thing that's going to help you advance in your cycling fitness. Okay. Along with strength training. And when we talk about off seasons, let's just start. I have 5 points that we're going to talk about today. Rest and recovery. Guys, I sit here in Quebec and I see it every year. And I guess it must work for some people. I don't know, but I have heard of a lot of burnout, injuries, things like this, when you continuously push the pedal and you don't give yourself downtime. Like literally, people are on the trainer in the winter. They quickly transition to spring, summer, which is like about 6 months. And then they go into like cyclocross season. And there's literally little to no downtime unless they actually take the month of December off, which if you're here, cyclocross ends in November and it's kind of a crappy season and we're kind of halfway in between, but people just jump right on the trainer. Okay. So maybe I'm one of the few that just embrace rest and recovery more than others, but I can easily tell you that I've never been sick. I have not sustained an injury, and my body continues to perform the way I want it to. So rest and recovery. So rest and recharging. And if you are following like any kind of athlete, high level athlete, I'm following a couple, a lot of them have just really taken time off of the bike. Honestly, mountain bikers, uh, cyclists, and they're doing other life stuff. Like, guys, get a life. Go hiking, go enjoy your pets, go enjoy your friends. Because, this bike isn't everything. Create hobbies, enjoy those hobbies, get into your gardens, hike. This is the most beautiful time of the year. I mean, it's great to bike around, but go hiking. Everybody can engage in a good hike. Anyways, I'm not going to harp on that, but rest and recharge should be at least 2 to 4 weeks, maybe even 6 weeks. And then when you get back on the trainer, you are completely recovered. You might have lost a little fitness, but hey, that as soon as you start pedaling and you periodize your program, you are going to come back stronger because you've allowed your body to basically rest. And if you've been competing a lot this summer, or if you've just been out riding, 1,000 kilometers a week, your body is probably ready for a little bit of R&R. So let's talk about, your off season. I should have started with this, but it's kind of, this is the time, like you said, when you've got R&R going on and it's time to sit down and think about the plan. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. Part 1 is your off season rest and recharge planning phase, or planning time of the year. Like even business builders take a little downtime to actually look at what happened in the past year, recharge, and plan for the year to come so that, everything's in place. And as an athlete, we should be thinking about that too. And I'm going to also start talking about the aging athlete. And I know a lot of you wait, talk about I'm not 80 years old. Okay, let's just talk about the aging athlete for a little bit, because I just turned 50 and I consider myself an aging athlete because things start changing. I noticed things start changing when I turned 45. And, and when I hit 50, I did an event, and I'm telling you, long, intense rides take me more time to recover. And I have to respect that out of my body so that I can continue to live and enjoy my bike for years to come, right? I'm 50. I could live for another 40 years. Grasp that, 40 years. So you want to be good to your body. And basically what I'm starting to read is, and I knew this before, is I'm just going to need more recovery time. So my periodized program is going to be longer than, how you chunk up your training in like a week. So my program is going to be a little bit longer because I need more time to recover in between. And another thing that I'm also reading is that getting in my intense workouts is going to sustain my physical fitness on the bike much longer, over dialing it down, doing more slow, long distance like LSD training. So this was kind of interesting to me. So anyways, I will be bringing that to you as well. Maybe that will be all in the November episodes of the coaching as I start going through my plan and mapping out my training. So, all right, let's get going. So number 1, plan, discuss the goals. Okay. So you had a rock star season and you're like, oh my God, I want to target all the races next year. Okay, that's fabulous. Now, I really want to caution you. And in my 40s, I had years of race seasons. Okay. Like I raced competitively as a master level. I had a full calendar. I also had children and I was married. So I'm married. I'm still married. But the important thing is what I want to tell you is that not to get ahead. And if I can help you save your marriage and put your, like, bring your ego down a little bit, because you have to release that, you know, um, even if you're going to get into triathlons, right? Triathlons, way more training than cycling. Um, because you're not just sitting on the trainer at home. You're actually have to go out and do three, like you have to go swimming early, you have to run with your friends, you have to bike. And that puts a lot of pressure on the relationship if you haven't sat down and actually talked to your spouse about it. Okay, this is so important because it is a balancing act. It is not all about you. You have to sit there and go, okay, here are the events that I want to participate in. Okay, so it's going to require X number amount of training, travel, whether you're going to do it with a family, you're going to do it by yourself, and the support. Okay, how many weekends is your spouse going to have to take care of the kids? Because let's face it, sometimes you don't want to do it. You just really don't want to be around your kids. And, just because you're the big training fiend and you get to go away and not be with kids, I fall into that too. So my husband and I, we talk about it a lot. So I always ask him, I said, what are your goals for next year? And what would you like to do? And that gives him the opportunity to say, okay, well, because my husband loves golf. So he always has like at least 3 weekends where he goes away golfing with his buddies. All right. So that goes on the calendar. I do not get to do events on those weekends. Okay. Or if I do, it's my responsibility to figure out what's happening with the kids, right? Not his. It's his weekend. If I want to do something that's really urgent on that weekend, I have to find the babysitters, enroll the parents, whatever. It's my responsibility. It's not like, oh my God, you're so selfish. No, you're selfish for thinking that. So sit down and make it a family discussion. Okay. How many are you going to do? Where are they going to be? How much is it going to cost? What's the sacrifice that's happening in the family? And how can you balance it out where your partner has his stuff or her stuff on the schedule as well? Because that is equally important. Remember, it's not all about you. Okay. That's number one. That creates harmony in the family so that, everybody has their night, right? So my husband, every Wednesday night, that was his night. So we stayed home or we went out and did something, or usually I went out for supper. So I didn't have to cook it. And like Monday nights were my nights. And then Saturday was my ride. And, it was up to him to add stuff to his calendar. Right. Or you just do it in the time that the kids are gone to camps or to school. Right. You have to fit in early morning, lunchtime, after bed. Now, number 2 is setting those milestones. So your goals. Now, if you have multiples, like you really have, like you think about which one is going to be the big race, like the big A race, and working your way backwards to your start date of your training plan. Now, I forgot to mention that I have some free downloads for you. If you go to askcoachsylvie.ca or .com, there are 4 different downloads, free downloads there for you. Hill climbing, organizing, bike maintenance, and I'm adding one that's specific to what we're talking about. So just sort of like a little chart to like plan out your training, your strategy planning, and that's new. So go there and get it. Wait till we're done here, but I forgot to mention that at the beginning. So working backwards to your milestones, like you should have an A race. That's going to be the big one. That's the one where you're going to put the most effort into, and then a couple B races. Like everything cannot be a high level race because, your body just can't sustain that. And also for Training Plus, you need some sort of test racing or races where you're going to go out and it's going to be like you're practicing something. So let me give you an example. So with regards to racing, so cycling, racing, or events, like you might be training up to this high, this bigger crit that's higher level. It's more local, like it's kind of like your local race. So, and then you find other events where you go, okay, so this is the first one of the season. It's a little crit. I'm going to go there and I'm going to practice staying with a group. And then this one, I'm going to practice some breakaways. So they're training races, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, number 3 is how many hours are you going to dedicate a week during the winter to your training plan? Now, granted, you want to kind of periodize it where you have some higher hours, like you have greater hours one week over the other and you have a recovery week. I kind of didn't do that over the winter. I kept it pretty consistent. So I personally decided, okay, based on family and work and other commitments, I'm going to put 4 to 6 hours a week into training, riding my bike. Okay. So say I had 6 hours. Now, 2 hours of that, remember the 80-20 rule. You have to apply. You cannot do intense rides 100% of the time. Your training will fall apart. You'll get injured. You'll burn out before April. So 80% is aerobic. So endurance-based building. 20% is anaerobic. So that's your high intensity intervals, hill repeats, things like that. If you're going to be on Swift, there's great 30 to 45 minute intense workouts. You just jump into one of those. What I have with my online coaching program is I put together a 16-week program, which is a one time a week, high intensity, for lack of better description, that focuses a lot on cycling. It focuses 100% on cycling skills and putting those into like, how do you climb hills? How do you sprint? Transitions, using your gears. So part of that program is part of my 20%. And then I sit and I do one more intense workout. That's not me coaching it, for myself. And the other rides are like 45 minutes long, and one long ride, group ride on the weekend, as per usual, right? That's kind of what we do. Now, so sit down, go like, how many hours? And then, put it onto your calendar. So when you tell your spouse or your partner, you're like, okay, this is what I'm committing to the winter. And then this is when I'm going to be training. And then don't start adding to it. Okay. Because everything else is going to be wrapped around those times, because then you're going to ask your partner, so what are you going to do? Where are you going to be running? Are you going to be swimming? Are you going to cycle yourself? Because we have only one trainer and we have to swap out, right? We have to share. So so number 3 is figuring out those hours and then getting them into the calendar so they are always there and there's no excuse for you not to show up. Now, remember I was telling you about that free download. So I created a template for you. There's questions in there that will help you figure out what your training plan. So like your goals, your hours, and also where you're going to put them in. So let's just look at template. You take that and you put it into your calendar once you figure it out. So go to askcoachsylvie.ca and download that free template. All right. Number 4, what do you need to work on? Okay. It's great that you go out and do endurance riding, you do intervals, but what do you need to work on? What kind of skill do you need to work on? And if you're like, okay, I'm really good at hill climbing, but I need to, like, can I get better? How can I get better? You can always get better by engaging with a coach and finding out where your weaknesses are, joining a program like mine, a 16-week road cycling program where we really break down the different cycling skills and we coach that over the 16 weeks. So by the time you're finished, you will never forget how to ride, like climb a hill like a rock star, use your gears, work at being a seated hill climber to a standing hill climber, building up those leg muscles and strength, also sprinting and intervals. So what is the area that you need to work on? So for me, I want to work on a smoother, faster pedal stroke. So I've got the smoothness down. Now I just want to get faster at a higher wattage. And that can be your goal every year, to be faster at a higher wattage, So like building my endurance based building where I can continuously, like, did anybody see Perry Roubaix, where the lead girl, her name escapes me now, it's Marianne Vos. I don't think it was Marianne Vos. She was consistently at 45 kilometers an hour for 100 kilometers. That is ridiculous. So imagine you would have to take a couple years to work up to that. So that would be like your winter training, right? Getting to that, because that ain't going to happen overnight. Okay. So number 5 is, where do you find and figure out what you need? So that's like where I'm going to do this shameless plug again for my program, this 16-week road cycling program. And I have a shorter version, but I'm not going to confuse you with that. It's 4 weeks where I just go over the skills and boom, you're done. You can take them, sit on your trainer, go on to Swift and apply them. Or if you're outside year round, you can use them outside immediately. But you can go to sylviedao.ca and find all my coaching programs. Now, the 16-week is really unique because it basically takes this whole planning phase. And that's, if you're sitting there overwhelmed about this, you join my VIP coaching package and I will sit down and work this out with you. Okay. So if you're wondering, like, what can I do? Where do I need? I will be able to ask the right questions. And if you go to 16wkroadcycling.ca, you can see the different packages. So I have 2. And that's where, like, I can physically see, we'll set up a meeting where I can physically see where it is that you need to get stronger. This program also includes a strength training program, like lifting weights. And if there's anything that's going to help you get faster and better and stronger on the bike, is lifting weights. And if, during the winter while you're training and maintaining during the summer, I never stopped working out 3 times a week. And I was really grateful that I had. And also, just getting stronger with good technique on the hills and implementing those strong sprints, and also really driving home your 4 quadrants of your pedal stroke and how to implement them. So if you're wondering, like, what the hell are quadrants in your pedal stroke, you can go to my YouTube channel, check it out right here, this video, and I basically break it down. So there you have it. 5 things to start thinking about when you're starting to look at your season. Now you can go about it and do all the reading if you have the time, or you can join my program and I will take care of everything. Not only is it a 1 day a week where we get together and we train together, but I have group rides set up on the weekend and also some racing every second week on Swift. You don't have to have a trainer. Everything will be set up in Facebook with a Facebook live chat where if you're just on a basic trainer, you can jump in with the whole group and we will be all together. I did it all winter last year. I was not on Swift for a while, but our group had this Facebook chat set up and it was amazing. I could just jump in, do my own thing, and just train with everybody. So I was on the rollers and I just jump in and I did my thing for an hour and a half and then I left and that was it. That was my one ride on the weekend. So my long ride. And I did that every Sunday. But our group is going to be Saturday mornings, kind of like your regular group ride. And so if you have questions about that, you can definitely DM me. Everything's in the show notes, my email, and where you can find me. Also on Instagram, that's probably one of the better places to reach out. So there you have it. Your 5, this is part 1 of your training series, your 5 plans, the plan, working backwards, the hours, your skills, and where to get them. So with that, have an amazing day. Don't forget to go and download the free template that's going to help you with this at askcoachsylvie.ca. I know I've got all these like URLs, but so the free download is askcoachsylvie.ca or .com. And that's where you get the free download. You can check out my 16-week road cycling at 16wkroadcycling.ca. With that, have an amazing day. Don't forget to tune in to next week's part 2. Take care.